What's going on? Blue Dooley in the garage, doing a little work on the grand hauler. I have some new brackets for the CXT's trailer I'm going to show you, but the trailer's kind of been a little slow. Been waiting for parts. I did finally get some parts in. I need to reprint out the beams that go between the axles, and then I can start working on the trailer again. And I got some steel that you can't see. That's for the ramps. I'm not still 100% sure how I'm going to do the ramps yet. We'll talk about that a little later. Big news on the grand hauler and the snow plow is I finally got a 10-channel radio. Picked up the FlySky i10 at the local hobby store. This particular 10-channel radio doesn't actually have a surface mode, so this stick just doesn't spring to center like most surface radios do. That's okay. It has enough switches and toggles and other functions. It'll work fine. And you can change which set of sticks does which controls. So I actually have on the grand hauler this stick doing the throttle and steering. I found a old Futaba servo, just a standard servo. So I now have working 3-speed transmission in the truck. And the turn signals are on their own switch. The light control I got from my Trick RC is kind of a universal build your own kit, so you can't actually turn the lights on or off from the radio. As soon as the radio has power, the lights have power, and then the turn signals just operate off the signal instead of the power. So this radio, for the money, it can do a lot. It can do a lot more probably than I'm even going to use on the snowplow, but I needed a lot of channels and a lot of toggle switches and knobs to run functions on the snowplow, so that's kind of why I didn't really look for or order the i6, which can do planes, helicopters, or surface. But this has, again, so many functions. The touch screen's pretty easy to use. I did have to get online and actually download the PDF instructions for the whole radio because they just send a quick setup guide. But the radio is bound to the truck, and I'll show you how that works here in a little bit as well. But the other main thing we got done on the CXT is my oversized rail guide for the trailer on the back. It still needs a little tweaking before I put it on my Thingiverse, so the rest of you can download it. In fact, I just noticed after I got it on the truck, my mud flaps aren't quite lined up like they should be. So that needs fixed before I put it on my page. But I'll bring you around, we'll look at that, we'll look at some other stuff, and then I'll show you the grand hauler with actual more than 2-channel radio so that all of its functions work. Okay, here is the overload rails, or the heavy haul rails. The shocks are bolted in place. The holes didn't quite line up, so I think I'm just going to leave the holes out of it, and then you can just kind of drill your holes wherever you need them. The lights are installed, and I misplaced a screw for that mud flap, so I'm going to have to, well, not to screw the nut, but if you look down from the top, you can see the one further away is actually mounted a little closer to the tires than the other one. So that'll need a little work, but as far as width goes, width coverage pretty good. I'm happy with it. Like I said, needs a little tweaking, and then I will upload the files so you can download this, print it out, and dress your truck up a little bit. You do, however, on this one, the way I made it, you do need to cut out that much of the frame rail, so it's actually not much longer out the back. I tried to make it the same length as if this piece was still here. Sorry for the contrast and all the black. But moving on to the CXT's trailer, I do got my new brackets printed out. They didn't actually get notched right, so now they're notched correctly. And now we'll show you the snowplow suspension I got and the steel. That's the steel. Okay, here is the rear suspension for the snowplow. It's actually going to be just a beam, and then between the upper piece and this lower bracket, I'm actually going to use some like 1 or 2 millimeter thick double-sided tape, and that's actually going to be my spring. So it's almost like a rubber bushing instead of like a leaf spring or an airbag setup. It's a common setup really on garbage trucks, as one, you don't go really fast and they just need to hold a lot of weight. So the beam is 3D printed. I think I'm going to have to use a metal beam because this will just flex too much. These two pads will bolt on to the underside of the axles, and then this big bracket just bolts to the frame. I haven't got the upper suspension link done. It'll just need an arm going from here back just to keep the axle from walking forward and backwards. But that is the suspension the rear of the snowplow is going to have. And I know people are going to get mad at me, but we're just going to use a solid piece of flat steel. It is the correct height, the same height as the frame rails of the semi-trucks. I decided against using or ordering frame rails because 1, this is cheaper, and 2, these weigh more. And I kind of want the snowplow to have a bit of heft to it. So aluminum axles, not an aluminum frame. So this truck's going to weigh a little bit by the time it's all said and done, especially being 6-wheel drive. And that's just to help with traction in the snow. Snowplows are not very light. So that's where that's sitting right now. All of this probably will be fine-tuned here in a little while. But now that I have my 10-channel radio, I can start ordering parts so I can start getting the snowplow built. But I have plenty of metal for this. This frame actually is going to be welded. There will be some 3D printed cross bracing in here, but at the rear of the truck and the very front of the truck where the plow is, that'll be fully welded. Okay, we'll get the radio turned on here. You'll hold both power switches down and make sure everything is up. Like I said, this stick no longer does anything the way I have it set up. And there might be too much glare to be able to really see the screen. So now that the radio's on, we'll turn the truck on. Okay, and because I have the switch up, there we go. So this stick, again, controls the entire truck. Left, right, right, left. And that's the throttle. This stick, well, this little 3-position switch above it is the turn signal for left and right. Show you both of those. And then this 3-position switch over here is the transmission. I have it set up so in the middle position, that's second gear. That should be low gear, and then all the way down is high gear, I think. I haven't used it a lot, so I'm not 100% sure which gear is which, but I do know in the middle, that's second gear. It also makes it so I can kind of drive and film one-handed easier. Let's get around to the front. And as you notice, let's turn on the right turn signal. I don't have to have the steering control my turn signals anymore. So when I'm just cruising along down the road making videos, it's not constantly turning. So let's get the truck on the ground and we'll do a little driving. Third gear with the stock motor. By golly, that truck gets it. Burnout. So definitely more realistic speed in second and first.